Today's daf is daf Nun Beis. I'm going to start from Toshma, and we're raising an objection against Rava from a Bryce. Rava was of the opinion that Kiddushin she'ena misurim lebia lav Kiddushin. It's not chal. The Tani to Yomi, that's the name of a chacham. So there were two people that wanted to make shidduch between their children. L'zeh chamisha banim, one has 5 sons. L'zeh chamish banos, the other has 5 daughters. The Omer, and the father of the sons addresses the father of the daughters, and he says, Achas mi bnosayach, one of your daughters, mikudeshes li echad mi banai, to one of my sons. But he did not specify which daughter would be married to which son. And the din is that kol achas v'achas tzricha chamisha gitin. Each one of the 5 sons is going to have to give a get to this, actually to each one of the 5 daughters. So it'll be 5 gitin to 5 daughters, each of 5. So that's get echad mikol echad me'abonim, because we have a suffix on each one of the achios that maybe she was mekudeshes to one of the brothers. And meisa echad mehem, if one of the brothers dies before he gave a get to each one of the achios, then kolachas v'yachas tzricha arba gitin, so that means that there are 4 achim that survived the ach that died. Each one will have to give a get to each one of the 5 daughters. And not only that, one of them will have to give a chalitza. Once one of the members of the bayis of the Yavamim gives a chalitza, that is mater holashuk. In any event, we see clearly from this brisa that even though each one of the achios is lamaisa asura l'kol echad min achim misafek, right? She may be eishes ach, so it's kedushin she'ena mesurim lebia, and yet the kedushin is chal, and she needs gittin from each one of the brothers. And here you can't give the answer that you gave before. V'chitem, you want to give the old answer. Hachad nami shehukru u'besof nisarvu. That initially it was clear which one of the sons would be married to which one of the daughters. It was singled out explicitly, but afterwards it got forgotten. And the Kiddushin was chal mitchila, and it was Kiddushin Aruyim Labia at that time. You can't give that answer that we gave yesterday quite a few times. The Lashon of Bryce is clear that from the beginning, one of them, of the Bonos, was Niskacha to one of the Bonim. And there was never a pirut, there was never a singling out which one was Mekudeshes to which one of the brothers. So we see that Kiddushin she'ena mesurim lebia chalam Kiddushin, and therefore she needs a get, etc., etc. Tiyufta the Rav Tiyufta. Ve'hilchsa kavase dabaye biyal kagam. So there are 6 cases in which we're going to paskin like Abaye in a machlokes between Abaye and Rava. So in the vast majority of cases, obviously we paskin like Rava against Abaye, but we have yal kagam. Now, the kuf of Kigam is most relevant to us because that's going to be Kiddushin she'ena mesurim lebia, and we're going to pass like Abaye that we're choshesh for Kiddushin. The Yud of Yal Kigam stands for Yesh Shalom Midas. And then we have the ayin for Eid Zomem, whether Eid Zomem is L'mafer Nifsal or not. And then we have a lamed, which is called lechi ha'omed me'elov. Then we have the gimel after the kuf of Kiddushin v'sum labia, and that gimel is a reference to Gili Das Beget, where he sent a shliach with a get, and then he was Megala Das, and he wants to be Mavatal the shliach. And then we have finally the mem of Mumar ha'ochel nevelos li hachis. And Rashi here quotes all these sugis. Tosfos writes that the Lamed of Yal Kagam is referring to a machlokas Abai v'Rava with regard to Yemei Leda, she'ena yoledes roa b'hem, where those yomim mitztarfim l'sfiras zivasa. Okay. Now the Mishnah said that Maise b'chamesh noshim ubehem shtei achios v'liked adam echad kalkol shel tedim v'shela hen hoisa v'shel shvius hoisa v'omar harei kulchem mekudoshos li b'kalkol zu v'kibla achas mihen al yidei kula v'omar chachamim ein achios mekudoshos omar rav Shmami no mimasnis and arba. Vinokit Rav yodit tlas. Rav says we derive 4 different halachic conclusions from our Mishnah, but I only remember 3 out of 4. The 4th is not clear to me. Number 1, Shmami no mekadesh b'peiros shvius mekudeshes. Obviously, if ein achios mekudoshos, but the other 3 are mekudoshos with pairs of shvius. And the chiddush is that we don't say that these pairos are not his mammon to be mekadesh isha, but rather they are his mammon. Shmamina kidsha v'gezel ein mekudeshes. We said that a man was Makadesh and Isha with Mos that he stole from someone else. And the Kiddushin is not Chal, Vafilu begezel dida. And even if he stole from her, we're not going to say that since she was Nisratze, she wants the Kiddushin, that proves that she was Mochel on the Gzela, and if we could be Makai Mimai. So the Gemara asks, where did Rav see this chiddush of Kidsha v'gezel ein mekudeshes? And the answer is Midikatani, because it says in the Mishnah that kalkol azusha lahen hoisa v'shal shvius hoisa. Let's be medayik. Taima d'shal shvius de hefkerhu, and therefore he's rashoy to take these payers for himself, and there's no gezel. But if it was stolen goods or stolen mos during the rest of the Shemitah cycle, and he took peiros on any other year that were not Shvius, and he took it from someone else, and he was Mekadesh lo havi Kiddushin Chalin, because these peiros are gezel biyodo, and even if he stole them from the Rishus of the woman herself who's getting married to him, nevertheless, the marriage is not valid. Shma Mina number 3, Isha Nasi Shliach Lechaverta. Right? There were 5 women. One of them accepted the Kiddushin on behalf of all the other 4. And we see that an Isha could serve as a Shliach. But what's the Kiddush of that? Even though, as a result of the shlichus, on behalf of the other women, each of them now become a tzaratar. And certainly she has no nemanus, because we don't believe a tzara to be made on her tzara. But if we have clear evidence and edus, and this is what happened, then she can serve as a shliach. The idach maihi. What was that fourth chiddush lahalacha that Rav derived from our Mishnah? And the answer is Kiddushin shenim nimsorim lebia. So the Gemara says v'nechshava. Why doesn't Rav count this as number 4? Why was he vacillating about it? Mishum the misafkale ikabaye ikarava. Rav had a suffix. How to interpret our Mishnah? Should we interpret our Mishnah the way Abaye understand the Mishnah? And the Mishnah is talking about a man who's Makadish Shtei Achios Yachtov, and that's why Ein HaKiddushim Chalim. But if a person would be Makadish one of 2 sisters, then if he would have been Makadish one of the 2 sisters without specifying, then the Kiddush would be Chal. And according to Abaye's Shita, you can be medayik from the Mishnah that Kiddushin she'eno mesurim l'biyah chalim. So if he was Makadesh, one of the 2 sisters would be Chal. We wouldn't know which sister would be a Safek, but it would be Chal, even though it's Kiddushin she'eno mesurim l'biyah. Or perhaps we could paskin like Rava, who says that the Mishnah is talking about a case of a man who was Makadesh one of 2 sisters, and the Kiddushin cannot be Chal because it's Ein Misurim L'Biyah. Gemara tells us, Ki Solik Rav Zera, Amar Lo L'Shmaita Kami de Rav Yochanan, Amar Leu Mi Amar Rav Hachi. Now the Gemara understands that Umi Amar Rav Hachi as if to say, could Rav actually have said this? That a Makadish Isha Begezel ain't a Makudeshes, as if to say that Rabbi Yochanan held she would be Makudeshes. So Gemara asks Vahulo Amar, and Rabbi Yochanan didn't concede that a Makadish Begezel ain't a Makudeshes. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Gazal Velonis Yashu Abailin Shneim Einem Yochalim Lahakdisho Zelafi Sheina Shalom Zelafi Sheina Shalom. The Gazlan can't be Magdashit before Yesh Bailim, because it's not his. And the Nigzal cannot be Magdish, the Chefetz HaGozul, because it's not in his Rishus. He doesn't have control of it, doesn't have access to it. Anyway, we see clearly that Rabbi Yochanan concedes that a Chefetz HaGozul is not Bershusa Shel Hegde Shel Gazlan Lakdisho, and therefore we should assume he cannot be Mekadesh Bosa Isha. So the Gemara interprets it, Hachi Kamar. This is what Rabbi Yochanan was saying to Rabbi Zera. Mi Omar Rav Kavasi. I'm very happy, pleasantly surprised that Rav came to the conclusion that I came to, and he's molded to this din. Meisvei, now the Gemara is raising an objection to this din of both Rav and Rabbi Yochanan from a brisa that says Kidsha Begezer o Bechamas u Begneva o Shechotav Sela Miyada Vekidsha Mekudeshes. The brisa says that if a man steals something and he's Mekadesh Bosa Isha, or he takes a chayfetz from the Bailam against the will of the person who, although he paid him, he never agreed to sell it, or he stealthily burglarized someone's house and gave that chayfetz that he took begneva to a woman for Kiddushin, or he grabbed a seller from our hands and he was Mekadesh. In all these cases, Mekudeshes. So we see clearly from this brisa against Rav and Rabbi Yochanan, because according to them, a Mekadesh Isha Begezel ain't a Mekudeshes. And the Gemara answers, Hasa Begezel Vida. The brisa is talking about a case where he stole from the woman herself an object, and he was Mekadesh her with that object. And in that case, the Kiddushin is chal because since he took the object from her hand, grabbed it out of her hand, she was mochel to him on the gzela. And Rav and Rav Yochanan are referring to a case where he's mekadesh a chayfetz that he stole from somebody else. And in that case, the Kiddushin is not valid because it's not his chayfetz. So there's no mechil over here. So Gemara Yasva Midiktani B'Seifa. In the end of the Bryce, it says, Oshachot Avsela Mishallah, Michlal the Reisha Begezel the Almaskina. It was only in the last case of the Sefer that he stole something from her and gave it to her for Kiddushin, implying that the first case is where he stole something from somebody else, and yet the Kiddushin is valid. And Gemara answers, Pirusha Kamafarish, the Tana of the Brisa is now explaining the Reisha of the Brisa. Kidsha Begezel B'Chamas B'Gneva. Ketzad, under what circumstances would the Kiddushin be chal with stolen goods? Kegon shechotav sela miyada v'kidshabo. He grabbed the seller from her, and he was mekadesh her. And that's why the Kiddushin are chal, because we assume she was mocheles. But enoch hinami, if he was mekadesh her with the chayfetz gazul, mershus acherim, Eino Mekudeshes.